James G here with Tarpley Music in Fort Worth, Texas. If you need to find us at any time, you can go to tarpleymusic.com. So if you're watching this, you've more than likely watched the whole TransAcoustic TAG3C video from this marvelous new instrument here. So on this one, we're going to focus on the app. Now, if you have your device and you're looking up the app, you just look up TAG Remote is the name of it. Download it like anything else, right? Now, you are going to have to pair the Bluetooth of the phone to your guitar. You hold down the loop button here and it'll actually go into pairing mode. You would do it just like you were doing, headphones or anything else, right? Just pairing it up from there. So now these effects and everything in this phone is going to affect the guitar. It's totally cool. It's extremely crazy. So the first thing we'll look at is you've got your preferences, and this is great because you can go to, and the first thing it does is on the top right, you'll see the Bluetooth signal. So you'll need that to pair it. But it shows your battery level. So, when you'll need to charge it, because there is a magnetic style charger that just sticks onto that. You can actually do an input gain as well as an auto power saver. You can do your tuner reference, so you can actually do tuning not at 440 for whatever reason you might do. And if there's any other firmware updates, you'll actually see it lit up on here that there's an update to go from there. So, and even factory reset. So very simple, but very important you go from those preferences, and you'll go to it a lot because I think you'll probably check your battery level a lot. So I thought that was incredibly cool there. So your first tab is actually the looper. Now we have a separate video that goes over the looper in great detail, but that's what that page under looper will be, is everything that has to do with that. We're going to focus on the effects mainly. So this would be just like having the 3 effects pedals down at your feet. They even set them up that way. So if you're familiar with pedals, it's going to look very similar even on the screen. So you have 2 style of choruses. You've got a double detune as well as a 4 voice. Pretty simple in the sense of what it can do. So this is sense down or sense up. Basically, how chorusy do you want it to get? And then there's a tone knob for the double detune. Most people probably think chorus. They think something more like a 4 voice style. And here you've got your depth, tone, and speed that will change your chorus, those parameters there. And you can actually go from 1 to 4 different voices. So if you want a more subtle kind of a chorus, you can take it down to a couple of voices. Because, of course, obviously, the more voices you get, that more chorusy sound you get from there. So, and that is quite a bit of, in my opinion, from an app standpoint in the guitar, that's a lot of chorus options that you got going on. So the next one is you have delay. Now, there's a simple delay and an analog delay. So when you go to simple delay, it's kind of like your average simple digital delay, where I want exactly this many milliseconds for this long. Especially if you're trying to, a lot of church guys will have a very specific tap delay or something too, so you can time it up perfectly. Your analog side is just more like you're just kind of changing the speed, and it's more like almost like an analog echo. If you're down a huge cave or something, right? That would be kind of from there. And you have all the parameters that can change it from there. So if you're not familiar with delays, it can be kind of a trial and error process when you're trying to mess with that delay. And we'll do that in a second. I'll kind of give a sample of some of the delays and what it sounds like when you change those. And at the very end, you got reverb here. So you got 3 different kinds of reverb: hall, room, and plate. Those are all very common guitar ones, especially acoustic. You might see an electric, you might see a lot more spring reverb or something like that. But this has hall, room, and plate. So if you want a big, huge hall sound, if you want a room that can get anywhere from like a small to a larger style room, and a plate basically is a reverb that adds to the end of the tone. So it doesn't necessarily feel like you're in a big hallway or maybe a room type of reverb. It just gives it a lot more length. I use plate a lot on vocals, but it can be great on acoustic guitar as well. And so that is in depth of how these 3 different ones go. So let's take a look at the chorus here. Now, I've got my knobs on the guitar as far as reverb and delay and chorus. Those knobs essentially are dry to wet signal. How much of that am I getting in? So the app will give you all the parameters, and then the actual guitar, you can bring how much of that dry to wet signal do you want. So we will start with the good old reverb. So this would be a hall style reverb. This is about halfway up on the guitar, so about 50% from there. It helps if your tuner's not on. So there's a hall there. Now I can change some of the parameters on this. We'll do longer decay. We can change the tone up or down to bring out some highs. And then a pre-delay. So to give you more of an idea, let's turn that reverb up a little bit. This is more about 75%. Be a really wet signal right now. So yeah, you can go ridiculously long lengths there. So then we move on to room. And basically at this point, when you're doing the decay and the pre-delay, you're kind of determining how big the room is, right? Pretty small room. Maybe a bathroom, utility closet, wherever you practice. So, but if you want to if you move up this delay here, you're kind of getting a bigger size room, right? And then your tone, just like anything else, you can pull out some highs if you want. And here's the plate, and it has the same parameters of your decay and your pre-delay. So if you can hear on the plate, it just keeps that whole sound going. So it's almost like a spacious type of, right? So you don't necessarily feel like you're in a hall, small to large hall or small to large room on this type of thing. It just really carries that tone through. It's very subtle reverb. So that is your 3 different reverbs and how they can be adjusted. Let's move on to delay. So delay, I'm going to pull this up about 50% as well. Here is a simple. Okay, so you have your time. That's how fast the delay is. Your feedback is how long will that go. Then you have low dampening and high dampening, which will change the delay. That's a really hot, your low dampening turned way up. As I turn this down. It's how quick that delay is being done, right? So let's get a real high feedback. Now the really cool thing is if you're like, well, I'm not exactly sure what the delay is, you have a tap function. So if you tap the delay button down, it sets my delay to that, and you'll see the numbers will change as you're doing that. In analog delay, a little simpler. So the time is how many of the seconds, feedback is how long it is. Then you basically got how much bass and treble you want into that. So ironically, I think it's a simpler than the simple analog, but that's just kind of, so simple analog is here's the digital, and this is exactly, as for analog, you're kind of just getting a nice idea. Yeah, that's really slow. Here's a fast delay, right? And if I turn the feedback up, it'll go longer. Apparently it gets really ridiculous. So anyway, so there's your 2 delays. So if you need I need a specific exact for this long or whatever, go with the simple. Hey, I just need a cool little digital effect that just kind of fills in the sound, go to analog. That's pretty basic, but that's kind of a good starting point. So now we're going to the choruses. So here's a double detune. Pretty thick. That's at about a 70%, but I really want you to hear how these are changed. So you can do sense down, sense up. You'll hear how where it's almost out of tune-ish now, right? That's because you're pulling. When you look at a tuner, those are referred to as sense. So sense down, sense up. So that's essentially what it's doing. Is it's purposely detuning it just enough where it feels like many people are playing at the same time. And if it's really, really kind of out of tune chorus, it's like 6 beginners playing at the same time. Yeah. So, and then your tone knob from there. 4 voice, like I said, this is really usually when you're thinking of a chorus sound. This is what you're thinking of. Your depth is how deep is that chorus going in and out. Speed is how fast that chorus wave is going on. And then tone, of course, you can get highs out of there. So this is a really deep high tone. Right. Turn that up, you'll hear it. There's a lot of lot of voices going on, and I can change that one, 2, or 3, 4 voices. So if you're not familiar with chorus pedals, this is pretty much what a good standalone chorus pedal looks like. It's got, and maybe probably not even 2 options. So a lot of times it could be just 1 option with those knobs in there. $99 and up, right? Built in. I mean, that's got, essentially it could be 400 plus easy on pedals that you've got just in the guitar itself. It's really nuts, especially for us that, don't have any money. So it's just a really incredibly easy app. It's literally just like looking at the pedals, and then you're changing those tones there, and it does it in real time with the guitar as well. So I hope that clears up the beauty of this app and gets you some more ideas. Like I said, we're going to go over the looper by itself in another video, so if you're interested in the looper, please check out that one. The link there is below. And hey, like this video. I'm hoping that this was a good explanation of how this thing goes. I appreciate any feedback, of course, and make sure you subscribe to us. And if you'd like to know about the other videos, you can always hit the notifications, and we'll tell you when new ones are arriving, and you can watch those as well. And hopefully, we'll see you on the next one.